All right, it is 6 o'clock and I think enough of us are here to make some informed decisions. Stephen Howard's coming on. Excellent. So I'm gonna call this meeting to order. First of all, I want to thank you all for joining us. This is the Neighborhood Quality of Life working group. And today we have the distinct pleasure of having our esteemed police department here. We're so excited about it. The reason that we asked the police department to come out is because two quality of life issues came up that we wanted maybe an update on. And for us to maybe get information, because this working group is focused on presenting some solutions to the city council at the end of our meetings. And if you all have some innovative ideas, we'd love to hear about them. So I have Officer Matt Lee here. Thank you so much for being here. If the officer is on the screen, if you would like to just introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is Lieutenant Derek Cook. I'm the new commanding officer of the traffic unit. I've been there 2 weeks. I've got 31 plus years on the job, but it's a new billet for me. So I got a lot to learn, but I'm up to the task.
Excellent. And thank you so much for being here, Officer Cook. I know Officer Cook. Good guy. Go ahead, sir.
I think you're still on mute.
Yeah, we can't hear you. But he's not muted.
Maybe on his end? If you're muted on your end.
How about
There we go.
all right? Nobody could read the lips, huh? Sergeant Jay Sleeper. I'm also in the traffic bureau with Lieutenant Cook. Newly assigned here. Looking forward to this position and doing whatever I can to help out.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Up to you, Parrot. He's on mute.
Not text on these guys.
I don't think any of us.
But that's why I came in person. Got used to those.
I think you're still on mute.
Sign language, no. There you go. Is that good? Nope.
Still no audio.
That's John Parrott. He's in the
Yeah.
traffic.
Hi,
He's only
baby.
got a couple years on.
Okay.
Thank you for attending.
Thank you so much for being here.
Some cops should just keep their eyes open and their mouth shut anyway.
That's
So that's we're good with that.
Thank you. And I want the working group, the Neighborhood Quality of Life Working Group, to introduce themselves. You go ahead.
Steve Hooper,
Steve Hooper, thank you so much for being here.
Mike Kosmersky,
Yes,
Scott Brubaugh, Ward 6.
yep. And Mr. Howard up there.
Stephen Howard. Hi, everybody.
Dr. Stephanie Murchison Brown, Ward 4.
Yes. And Kia,
No, Zeta. Hi, good evening, everyone. Kaine Compton. Nice to meet you all.
thank you. I'm so sorry. I messed
That's
up.
all right.
Hi, Nay. Thank you so much. Again, everybody, thank you so much for being here. And today we did ask if the traffic division, it looks like, from our Springfield Police Department to be here. And just to talk about, give us an update on the dirt bike situation as well as the speeding. So Officer Lee, I'll let you go.
As far as the dirt bikes, I did a little looking into some things. Right now, CJ's has 42 dirt bikes held and seized. When we are able to stop and detain, often operators will just jump off, leave the bikes behind, which is fine with us.
Mhm.
We take the bike and we tow it and they're not getting it back.
Right.
As we were talking earlier, we do have deployments in 2020 and 2021. This was a much bigger problem. And for example, on the 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. shift is where you get most of the calls for these type of dirt bikes, ATVs ripping through the city. In 2021, there was 435 calls in the month of July for these kind of calls from the public saying that dirt bikes all over the city. In July of 2023, on the same shift, there was only 158 calls.
Mm,
I think we are making a difference, and I think we learned that early on, we would just get in our black and whites, throw the blue lights on and try to stop them. All it did was entertain them.
mhm,
We changed our strategy. We have the state police, the sheriff's department also involved. We get in unmarked cars and we just monitor them. If they stop, we can usually get to them. Often we'll just follow them all the way to their driveway,
mm.
and then it's pretty easy to find where they are and take care of our business.
Officer Perry, we can hear you now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So often, that's this. And the public often, and I go to the community meetings all the time in the Liberty Street area, Hungry Hill. And they say, oh, we don't see you out there. Right now,
Radio.
Oh, let me mute him. Did I mute him? I think I did. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
we're out there in minivans, pickup trucks, Hondas. We're trying to blend in because the dirt bikes, we don't want them to know where the cops are
Right.
behind them.
Right.
But the public also says, oh, we don't see you. We are out there. We are
Mhm.
monitoring.
That's good.
A lot of times we're only catching one or two at a time. But you magnify that over all summer. We've had 16 deployments in the last 2 months,
Mhm,
just focusing on this,
mhm.
which also is great for the shift because the squad officers are extremely busy on the 4 o'clock shift. They can't stop and the calls they're required to go look for dirt bikes.
Mhm.
So when we have deployments out there that we can focus on this, it does make a difference.
Mhm.
And those are some of the things we're doing out there. It has made an impact. The numbers show it. The arrests, the citations, it does work.
Absolutely. And I just want to remind everyone that the city council actually passed the dirt bike ordinance a few years ago. And then they followed that up with the
Gas
gasoline
station thing, yeah.
prohibiting them from buying gasoline at the gas station. So I
Every
think,
single thing helps.
and exactly, and I have to commend the police department because they're the ones that are out there, doing the job. So thank you so much. That really did make a difference. I remember early in the summer, I thought we were gonna have a big problem because I started seeing the dirt bikes, but then all of a sudden it seemed like they disappeared. So thank you.
Thank you.
We're also joined by Attorney Saint Laurent. Thank you so much for joining us. He's one of the work group members also. Does anyone have any questions or any comments on this topic?
Yeah, I've done some research independently also, and there are some communities within the Northeast that have a dedicated reporting system. So it'd be probably attached to the police department website where you could link to it and you could throw video, photo, and actually pinpoint an address where you see it. And that way police can then start localizing where these incidents are happening. And then it can ease where you go to patrol.
No, that's a great idea,
Yeah.
especially most of these guys don't wear helmets.
Yeah.
So if you get video from a Ring camera or someone pulls out their phone and able to, maybe we can identify them other ways. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Great. Stephen? Good.
Yes, good evening again. I live in the McKnight area, and the dirt bikes at one time was really a bad problem. And when the move to get them, to prevent them from buying gas at the gas stations came up, there was a lot of concern for the gas attendant safety if they were to refuse, selling the gas or turning off the pumps. But I don't know what it is in addition to what's already been said. All I can say is that strategy has worked, and now you hardly see these dirt bikes on the streets, and I greatly appreciate that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
I also did some reaching out to folks that are in the motorcycling community, dirt bike community, as mechanics and retailers. And the idea of putting a dirt bike track that was floated. It probably wouldn't happen because I guess we have a competition level dirt bike track out in Southwick that the owners of that track wouldn't want any of the competition around. So
Okay.
that idea.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about having a motorized park where they could go and
Yeah.
do their dirt biking thing. I think actually they're still talking about that. So
Yeah.
you never know.
And how does one, recognize an illegal dirt bike versus a moped? License plate?
First of all, most of these dirt bikes have no license plate because
Right.
they cannot be registered. The easiest way is they don't have turn signals. They don't have the things that a vehicle that is allowed on a public way must have.
Mm,
Another quick indicator is the tires. There's oversized tire treads that are great for off-roading, gripping the road. Those are not street legal. You can't have tires with those kind of grips on the road.
Hmm.
And the other one is when you get out there and you hear it enough, you can tell by the sound.
mm.
There's often I'm in my cruiser and you could hear it coming before I see it, and you know it's a dirt bike. So when you're out there, they're not allowed to be registered.
Mm.
And again, most of them don't wear their helmets. They're out there for entertainment value. So for all those things, they're pretty easy to determine.
Mhm.
Are most of the ones you get, are they stolen?
Not most, I would say 50-50. I wouldn't say majority, but a lot of them, there's no paperwork, which is great for CJs because then they don't have to release them. So they're not getting
Excuse-
back.
Excuse
Yes.
me.
Go ahead. Becky.
I don't know how to raise my hand, so, but, I still have issues with the dirt bike. Over here in, Ward Ford off of Wellington Street and Wilbraham Road. I've called, the police department, non-emergency, and, sometimes the person, has, like a ski mask, like all his face is covered with a dark mask except for his eyes. He does wheelies, and it's different ones, and they do wheelies and everything, and they still haven't got him because he
Mm.
comes around close to around 5, 6 at night, and I don't know. I seen him come out of Massachusetts Ave, and he's driving alongside me doing a wheelie, and he
Mm.
turns down my street, Wellington Street, and does a wheelie up and down, up and down. They have yet to catch that one.
All right,
Okay.
that's good to know. Thank you so much for that. We're also joined by, is that Arelis? Yes, Arelis Barbosa. She's another quality of life member. Mr. Howard, did you have your hand raised again, or was that from before? Go
Yes,
ahead.
well, in sector meetings, I did bring up, I did ask if there were tracks or a place to build a track for the dirt bikes in this area, and was told, well, it's very difficult to do that. So now that an officer who just said that they do have a place where competition takes place, and that's reduced the bikes on the street, I really appreciate that, because motocross is a very popular sport,
Mhm.
and these folks just don't have a place to go to ride. And since the competition is there, maybe that had an impact on the amount of bikes that's been taken off the street. But these, even though people are concerned about their safety, these kids are very talented on those bikes, because the things that I see them doing, I don't know. I mean, like, I drive like about 10 car lengths behind them when I see them, and they're just amazing. And I think that talent that they're displaying could be harnessed into some positive activities. And with, so I'm really glad to hear that this track is available, because if they could actually do that, that's a lot of youth that you could use for putting their energies into positive activities rather than destructive. Thank you.
That is true. Thank you very much. Lieutenant Cook?
Yes, okay, good evening. Once again, I was listening to some of the conversations that are being held, and I can tell you that perhaps the greatest resource that any police department can have, including Springfield, is our community intelligence from the community members and residents. We have had an increase in people who are just tired of the dirt bike carnage, and we were getting very good intel on where they roost. So that is the most important aspect, because if you can get them before they leave or know where they go, then you're able to mobilize and actually go in and grab them before they are able to actually hit the streets and carry on. And secondly, I would tell you that in Springfield, at least, we have our RTAC, which is our real-time action center, and that's manned by crime analysis individuals who monitor these different camera views that we have throughout the city. They have access to Ring camera footage with the permission of the either homeowner or the possessor of the Ring. And that has given us great intelligence for the dirt. And a lot of people in 2023 have access to video footage recording. So I would stress and continue to ask that our community members continue to give us that intel that we are not always privy to assist us in continuing the fight for maintaining law and order, and more importantly, keeping these dirt bikers off the road. And Officer Lee did speak on the collaborative that we have, and the collaborative is strong, and it extends beyond Springfield. It's all the surrounding towns with the surrounding departments working collectively, because not everyone that rides a dirt bike is from Springfield. I need to let you know that. So not everyone comes from Springfield, but if you come to Springfield and you have your dash cam or the camera on your head, you can do ridiculous things and be cool to your friends. I know that there was a mention, Mr. Howard, that you said that the motocross is big, and it is. And some of the talent of some of these individuals, whether it's misplaced or not, my hope is that there is a place where people can go to get this out of their system, or maybe to work that skill. But I can tell you it's not going to be on any city street maintained by Springfield, as long as we have anything to say about it, because they're just not equipped for the road. And I just add that.
Thank you so much, Lieutenant. Great. And that is true.
With respect to Scott, right, your comment about setting up a portal to be able to upload information, how would that something like that get established?
I mean, the Lieutenant mentioned our RTAC. We already have a system in place. A lot of it is just business owners or homeowners just have to get in touch with our police department, allow us access. And then if we need to pull the footage, something happened in front of your house, and we already have your permission to use your footage, we would just automatically be able to have
What
access.
if it was just taken from my phone and I just, because in the moment I see someone doing something, I can take a little photo of it.
Very often, if a police officer arrives on scene and someone has footage on their phone of a crime or an event that just happened, we contact our RTAC system, we have emails, and we can get your video right to them. They analyze it, they look at it, they give us an opportunity to view it, whereas an officer on the street can't really do that. We have other
But
responsibilities.
I think to Scott's point, his idea was to send those videos to
Right.
you guys with, hey, this is happening on Wellington Street or whatever the street was. Next time you go out on patrol,
Oh, yeah, that's a
include
great
that street
idea.
or something like
I
that.
think our RTAC and their email is probably the way to get that word out there to people that could say, like the resident there, I'm on Wellington, here's the video of him. He goes up and down my street every day at 5 o'clock. Here's 3 days worth of video. The next time we have a deployment, we go to Wellington around that time and we have an actual image of the operator, the bike, the time of day. That
Sure.
helps us a ton.
Is that something that you guys can get back to us with in terms of
Yes,
like,
our tech
what would be the best place to
Yes,
send that in?
absolutely.
And how?
Yes.
Good. So you'll just let us know, because that's
Yes.
absolutely, great if we could do
I
that.
have a question, if I may. How does the police department get the word out that this technology even exists? Because this is the first time I'm hearing about it. So it'd be nice to have a campaign maybe to.
Or is that something that we need to do?
That's something that I think we could probably present as an idea. I think we talked before the meeting started, we talked about having kind of like a marketing campaign to let people know that this is available, that this is something that, we have access to. And I love what Lieutenant Cook said, about having the community collaboration, working together. That's the only way we're gonna be able to solve the problems.
Absolutely.
Because, the police department does the best that they can do. They don't have, they're not fully staffed right now. So I think we, as a community and residents, we need to do our part to make sure that we keep our city safe and that we have the best quality of life. Yeah. Lieutenant Cook, sir.
Yes, I would like to add that we also have additional resources for outreach with the community, and the prime candidate for that would be our media relations specialist, Ryan Walsh. Now, Ryan Walsh has his finger on the pulse, and when I tell you that he has access to all kinds of different information, segues into collaboratives where, you know, everyone is able to get together and work in unison for that, you know, that divided, now made unified goal. He is the person to do that. Now, Ryan does work closely with RTAC. He works closely with the different bureaus. He works closely with the media. And like I said, he is, when it comes to getting out information, and his information's right there on the website on the City of Springfield .org. Most of our information's there, like the emails, the way to contact different units through RTAC. You name it, it's there. But Ryan Walsh is specifically designed for that task, to work with all the groups, including this one, to help lend additional resources and information importance, so that everyone can have a say in what happens in Springfield, because the police cannot do it all, and that is foolish to think that we can. And I've always been a firm believer in together we can. So I believe in the community approach. I believe in the community intelligence. You are there, you matter, you have that firsthand knowledge that we just don't have. And this is why I've always encouraged these collaboratives.
Thank you very much. Mr. Howard, and then we're gonna go on to our next topic.
Yeah, thanks again. Now, there are a couple of concerns that pop up, but so it doesn't seem, I don't give the wrong impression. A monitoring system on a house here, like, you know, like the Ring, was able to capture the car when a child was abducted. And that was made available to the police department, and they were able, fortunately enough, to track the car, because I believe one of the relatives saw what was happening and followed the car at a safe distance until they came to wherever they were going, and then the police were able to take care of the situation. So understand that I appreciate that. But there are some people who will say that, who would want to know, for example, let's say I was to give the police department access to my Ring. How does that work? What limitations are there, so that after they use what they need, they don't have 24/7, 365 access to my system without my knowledge or approval? Thank you.
Thank you. I think that sounds illegal, right?
Yeah.
They're not-
It
they're
doesn't
gonna use it after.
No.
So, because I think it's only for like an incident, right?
Only
If
for
something
incident,
happens,
yes.
yeah. Yeah, it would be illegal for them to use it, you know.
From
all
my
the
understanding,
time.
and I am no expert, it's only after the fact, that event, like the car situation is saying, we're looking backwards at an event that happened.
Mhm.
We have to have the specific time or an idea of a time
Right.
to look. We're not just blanketly looking for the last week, the last month. You know, yesterday
Mhm.
around 3 o'clock, a car did event. We'll look for that car
Right.
at that time frame. And again, before we do any of that, you have to have permission from the resident, the owner. And my understanding, and anytime they can just stop that permission, and that's the end of the cooperation.
Okay.
It's not a blanket thing.
Right, right. Okay, good. That's good to know.
I can tell you that our access to the Ring is not accessible like the cameras that we control. So when let's just take Citizen A calls and says, yeah, I think I might have something that is related to a crime, and I believe I picked it up on my Ring. They would then therefore give the information to RTAC. RTAC would have a specific window in which to access only certain information. It's never current and it's never ongoing. So it's a small time frame in which to get that footage. And there is no technology that I know of that exists, and I know that we don't employ it, where they can at any time tap into your feed and access the ability to look at will, even if given permission for a past event, to use anything current and ongoing. So that absolutely does not happen. So hopefully I can let a lot of people rest well in the fact that no, we do not cannibalize and capitulate on people's privacy, and it's only in a specific time frame, a specific zone, and a specific incident in which there's access. And once that access is gained, it stops.
Okay, thank you. And that is good to know. And it always brings to mind George Orwell's 1984.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
We're living in it now.
Yeah.
But thank you for that. So I do want to talk about the next topic, which is the speeding in the city. And that's, I think, a big issue that everybody's always concerned about. I'm concerned about it. I live right on Berkshire Avenue, which feels like a highway half the time. And I think it's something I told the Matt Satilli, that, we have to be mindful, right, as residents, of driving the speed limit if we know what the speed limit is. Because it's easy, I think, to get distracted, and then you're just driving and you're driving fast, and all of a sudden you're driving 45, 50 miles an hour down Berkshire Avenue. So Officer Lee, you brought some maybe numbers that we could look at and maybe some ideas for us to figure this out.
Well, just to point out, it's Traffic Awareness Month, and I know the traffic union officers are looking for like texting and driving, things that I think speed is always a problem. But I think the texting has increasingly become an issue with distractions and things like that. I think those all cause traffic hazards. According to the numbers I have, we're at over 8,000 citations written for the year to date. Where in 2022 it was 14,650 citations. I mean, the traffic enforcement is out there. The numbers show it. In 2021, there was 19 fatalities in Springfield involving motor vehicles. We're in August now, well into the year, and there's only been 5. I think we are making a difference. I think we are out there enforcing, writing tickets. And I think the signboards that we have out there that monitor your speed and take the information, I think I think, like, to your point, Councilwoman, people do get distracted, but when you see a big sign saying you're going 50 and it's a 35, they will slow down.
Right. Yeah.
It does give that person to say, oh man, I didn't even know I was going that fast. So it's not only enforcement, but it's also trying recognition, visibility. And I do think the numbers show we are making a difference.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and sometimes it doesn't feel like we're getting anywhere because of the speeding and, all it continues, it seems. So I know that the city council actually, Councilor Fenton, put up a speed hump ordinance. And I'm really excited to get the first speed hump out there. I'm hoping it's going to happen soon. We actually are waiting for one to be put on Du Bois Street, because Mrs. Footman, Barbara Footman over there, she petitioned her neighborhood, and I guess people really speed down that street. It's a little side street, and it's an appropriate place for a speed hump. So we had to do the petition, the neighbors agreed, and we decided where it was going to be. So we turned it over to the traffic division of DPW, and we're just waiting for it to be placed and see how that works.
That's great.
But since we have that, I think it's maybe an awareness campaign to let the city know and residents that if they have speeding down their street, maybe they might want to get a speed hump there. I like the speed tables because that would be better for the emergency vehicles, right?
To get through, yeah.
Yeah, because I can't have a speed hump on Berkshire Avenue, unfortunately, because of the emergency vehicles. But the smaller side streets where the speeding continues, that's an option for those streets. So thank you, Officer Lee, for that. Are there any other comments or questions that anyone has regarding this?
I'd like to just ask, from the traffic department's perspective, what would be your ask of the city council or from this group or regular citizens? What would you like to see most?
I think Lieutenant Cook could probably speak better to me. I think everyone should be aware of their speeding. we like calls that there's speeding going on. That's how we issue our deployments. People say, Parker Street, they're speeding down Parker Street. We then can send resources to that area. For just flat out complaining and not letting us in on it, it's not gonna go anywhere. We send our resources, just like this Wellington resident who said there's dirt bike activity continuously going on. The next deployment, I'm gonna make sure the supervisor spends some time on Wellington. That's how it works.
Mhm.
We're not gonna be on the street every day. Residents are. Call us, let us know, and we'll deploy there.
Mhm.
And often, even if I'm the car that gets pulled over, the other 30 cars that drive by and see the car stopped and a cop giving a ticket, it does give people pause.
Mhm.
It does work. So if we know where there's a big problem or there's a spike in speeding, let us know and we can deploy there.
Mhm. Yes.
Yeah.
Mr.
Lieutenant Howard.
Lieutenant Cook.
Oh, Lieutenant Howard.
Okay, yeah. So in regards to the speeding and the citations, I can tell you that I lived in a city. I still live in a city. I've lived here my entire life, except when I was really, really small. So I am not just talking because I work here. I'm talking because I live here, and all my children school here. So I can tell you that when it comes to the speeding, the distracted driving, there's a myriad of things that people do in 2023 that we couldn't do in 2003 because of the mobile phones, which everyone knows, everyone has them. Okay, so now they're very prevalent, and it doesn't take but a second to look down, and then in that second for calamity to occur. So with our municipal road safety grant, which is going on as we speak, we have conducted, and I'm actually starting to go through the data. Like I told you, I've been there 2 weeks, but I'm starting to do the number crunching. We are nearing close to 70 actual citations, moving violations involving seat belts, involving distracted driving, involving speeding with actual speeding fines, some warnings, but people are starting to be held accountable for the distractions that can lead to these issues we've been having. Speed is very, it doesn't take much to go over 30 miles an hour or 35 miles an hour. You sometimes have to use your own judgment in that. But when you are distracted, you can change your speeds, and we have all seen the repercussions of that. So I know that we are still doing this. There's numerous citations being written for monetary violations, not just warnings, because sometimes when you hit people in the pocket, it has more impact. Okay. Like, they say spare the rod, spoil the child. I'm old school, so I know what that means, and I didn't like it. So I used to help monitor and regulate my behavior. Well, it's similar that way with traffic enforcement. So we do have a lot of younger officers in the department now. We are in a transition where we are losing senior officers, but we are gaining younger officers, and they have that zeal, that zest to do the police work and to put in the efforts to try to curb some of the crime that's happening. And speeding is one of them, as well as different Chapter 90 violations. So yes, I know people do sometimes say they never see a cop or they never see this, but our fatalities are down drastically. And our citation numbers are current, and if not, will exceed what we had in the last year, in the previous year. So we are on track to continue to do the work that is necessary to help ensure safety for the residents of Springfield.
Thank you. Mr. Howard,
Yes, thanks.
followed by
Uh,
Dr. Richardson Brown. She learned to raise her hand. Go ahead, Mr. Howard.
Well, let her go and I'll go after since she hasn't spoken.
Okay, go ahead, Dr. Brown.
I just wanted clarification. I had thought that a police officer could not pull over somebody for a seatbelt or texting unless there was another violation. Is that not true, or can you pull someone off for a seatbelt if they aren't doing anything?
90A is for the seatbelt, because that was changed and that was made not just as it could be a standalone violation. And also as far as the using of a mobile device, hands-free, these are classic examples of now, if you see that, and it doesn't really take much, you can actually go to almost any stop sign or stoplight and you'll see people on their phones right next to you, even in the cruisers. I mean, and that still happens. So those can be used to affect a traffic stop. Yes.
Is that, you got clarification?
I guess so. He said, yes, you can be without any other like speeding or anything else. You can be
Yeah.
pulled over. Okay.
Right, yeah, because it is a law that you're not supposed to use your device using in the car with your hands.
And just to be, you could be, like the lieutenant said, the vehicle could be a complete stop at a stoplight. And if an officer sees you using your phone, which often people think it's okay, I'm not
Right,
driving.
because I'm not
You're
driving.
still operating the motor vehicle and
Right.
expected to be fully aware of everything going on.
Right,
We can, once you get moving, we can effect a traffic stop because we watched you use your phone while in operation of the vehicle. You don't even have to be moving.
okay,
You can't use it while you're operating the vehicle.
right. Okay, that's good to know. Another marketing campaign that we have to do. Mr. Howard.
Yes, about the speeding, there are certain things that I think folks need to understand. One is speed bumps, especially on emergency routes, are not exactly helpful to the emergency vehicles, especially if it's an ambulance with a patient being attended to. Going over that speed bump trying to get them to the hospital could cause some compromises to the patients and the operators of the vehicle. It also slows down emergency vehicles responding to those emergencies like fire trucks and police. So speed bumps on emergency routes is not something that's encouraged, and I don't think can be done effectively.
Well,
People
that's
have
why
also
I can't get one on Berkshire Avenue.
That's what you said, yeah.
Because I wanted one.
Yeah.
I wanted a bunch of them there, yeah. That's the reason that we can't get one on the like Parker Street, Pasco Road. You can't have the speed humps there.
Now, some people were also saying, well, what about speed tables or these little, sinks in the street to slow you down? That creates the same problem. And on the street where I live, for example, it's some big homes. And whenever trucks go over like a bump in the street or a pothole, you can actually feel the vibration. And there's one house not too far from where I live whose basement has been compromised because of that. So there are different reasons why speed bumps may not be beneficial. And finally, the speed signs that let you know how fast you're going. I think that's a very effective way to slow down traffic. But what I would suggest is in addition to that, not just having the cruisers, but having unmarked police units, like maybe half a block away, who are monitoring the speed. And if that person does not at least start to slow down, at least you're giving them some time to slow the vehicle down. As a person before said, once they get hit in the pocket, in other cities, depending on how many violations you have, sometimes they even add points onto that summons. And when people start paying and realizing that their ability to operate that vehicle begins to be limited, believe me, they tend to change their driving habits. Thank you.
Thank you, and you're right, that's true. So we have a few marketing campaigns you might want to do.
If I can add, some of these like diverters and pinch points are interesting to me for, for a variety of reasons, but if neighborhoods ever want to do this, it kind of dovetails with my idea of urban agriculture. You could actually use some of these to increase green space.
Creating space in that, yeah.
Yeah, so that's really
Yeah.
interesting to me, but that obviously would be a much larger thing. than a speed
Well,
bump.
they-
Does data on actual reduction of speeding correlate to any like increase in fines, or, if you're raising the amount of money in fine, or how many citations you write, does that correlate to reduction in speed for a particular area? Or
Yeah.
we're under this belief that, oh yeah, if I have to pay the ticket, I'm gonna start slowing down, but do people really, or do they just
Yes,
play the odds and keep going?
there's gonna be people that speed and get several citations and then lose their license and they will go back out there. I feel my experience, most people that get a ticket, it stays with them for years.
Mhm.
How much the ticket
The
was.
financial cost stays
The
with them for
financial
a long
cost.
time, sure.
Yeah, the insurance goes up, so every month they're reminded that that ticket they got 3 years ago. Those things do slow your responsible citizen down that was just rushing around one day, being a little irresponsible, got pulled over, paid a fine, but also paid, down the road. I do believe it works, yes.
Maybe that's something that we can look at too. And then some of the street designs, I know that right now the city is doing a lot of street work. And I know in Indian Orchard, they actually bumped out the main street
Yeah.
and it has slowed traffic down. Some of the residents complained about it, right? Because they didn't like it, but it slowed traffic down and that was the purpose of it, So the one thing that I've learned is that not everybody's going to be happy all the time. But I think our safety in our city is a big quality of life, right? Because if just the convenience, don't bump the street out just for convenience, and then God forbid something happens, it just won't be good. So,
Do you think it might ease the pain if they actually use those for something like some greenery?
yeah, I don't know, maybe, yeah, but and again, I just think some people just won't be happy no matter what, but.
True.
I think we have to, do the best that we can do to try to make everybody be as safe as possible. And I think that's why we're here, right? Because
Sure.
being safe, I think, is a big part of quality of life in our cities. And, doing the work that the police department is doing, our residents, a lot of our residents seem to be, collaborating with you and giving you information, which is great. If we just continue that, I think it will be good. I really want to continue working on figuring out how we can slow people down a little bit more. One of the things that I thought about, and this isn't you guys, the police department, but just to have more speed limit signs, right? Just the regular white signs with the 35 or whatever. Because I think people forget what the speed limit is, especially if it's like, and on Page Boulevard, I live up that way, so on one it's 35, and then it's 30, and then it's 45, and then it goes back to 30, and then you don't know what the speed limit is, right? So people might get confused. And having more of those, your speed signs, right? And we could get those for pretty cheap because they could be solar. And if we'd had them there all the time, because you're right, it does slow people down. Oh my, I didn't realize I was going that fast. Because it's easy to go fast,
Yeah.
I think. Yes, Stephanie. Did you raise your hand again, or was that from before?
Yes, I think that Officer John Perot, are you trying to say something?
I was just waiting my turn.
No, go on. I just wanted to intercede on your behalf.
Okay, I appreciate it. So in regards to what Lieutenant Cook said, as well as Officer Lee, we currently have 4 of those large boards that you see up, along with 4 or 5 of them that go on the telephone poles. And we're always looking for locations, new locations, as far as concerns, where to put them. Right now we have one right up the hill on on Springfield Street from Bay State. And I can say myself, in the last 2 weeks, I've probably gotten several cars above 50 miles an hour, passing Bay State Hospital. We have another one over by Pope Francis, just because they're starting school again. And they do work. We get, the analytics on a daily basis, we have access to that to tell us what time people are speeding the most, when we see the most travel past those boards and things like that. But the biggest thing is we'd like to hear in the traffic bureau, we'd like to hear from the community where they think the problems are the most, and we're always open to moving them. Honestly, those boards are readily available. The only time, we don't use them is during the cold weather because of the batteries that are inside of them. And then someone had mentioned an unmarked vehicle behind in the traffic unit. Most of us do use the unmarked vehicles, and it does help. But with the signboards, you can't necessarily use a signboard as a reason to stop someone. Just for clarification, when you're doing LiDAR or radar or clocking someone, there's distances that have to be involved. There's proper estimations. There's traffic flow pattern, the dangerousness of where or when you're going to conduct a traffic stop. But my biggest thing was just wanting everyone to know that when there's a constant issue, as long as the lieutenant or even Sergeant Sleeper know, we conduct traffic controls. Right now, we're paying attention to Springfield Street and Westford Circle because we got some complaints about high speed over there. But we'll move the boards wherever we feel is necessary.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So I'll just put my little pitch in here for Berkshire Avenue.
We did have one over there for a while, right in front of 603 Berkshire, right where the apartments are. And it definitely helped slow people down for a while, I think.
It does help. It does, yeah. So, and the one on Page Boulevard, I think is helpful too, because that one's been there for a while. So that was good. Yeah, but no, I like that. And then I don't know if there's a way for maybe you guys to be able to get more of those, to put them more places. If that's necessary, I think if it would help. So that's something we might want to look at. All right, excellent. Any other questions or comments? No. Thank you. Well, again, I want to say thank you to the police department. Thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you.
Again, I appreciate the work that all of you are doing. And I gotta congratulate the residents who are here, because we're, I think, working together with the police department. That's what we want to do. That's how I think a city should work. So we'll just continue the collaborations.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys so much.
Nice to meet you.
I think next month for the quality of life meeting, did you guys have, someone mentioned education. Do you guys want to bring someone in from education? Go ahead,
Yeah, that
Dr.
was me.
Brown. Thank you, Officer Lee.
Yeah, that was me, Stephen Howard.
Right. So,
There are some very good, free, low cost, and I'm thinking of the word right now.
so why don't you, Mr. Howard, why don't you plan on presenting that next month?
Yeah, sure. I just wanted to give people an idea as to what why I was bringing it up.
Okay.
Because there are a whole lot of programs out there that the youth could get involved with as far as education is concerned, job training and so forth. And the way I look at it is once they have positive things to do with their time, they'll have less time to be idle and get into the wrong company.
Right.
And since the colleges especially have these fantastic programs, some of these children some of the youth may feel that they can't even attend these colleges because they may not have at least a high school, diploma or something. So they wouldn't even think of going to these colleges and universities that have colleges really, that have these programs. So I'd like to bring folks on to break down some of those programs and see how we could work collectively with them to get information out to these folks in the parks, at events or whatever, so that they could be directed into a more positive path. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephanie?
Yeah, that would be interesting to know, because most of the things I've trying to find things for my grandson who just turned 14 to do, but everything's is a cost to it. Like, the YMCA, the Girls and Boys Clubs, they don't have free slots. Those are costs unless you do that night basketball drop-in
Yeah.
thing, anything else is a cost. And I have younger ones that that don't have anything else to do if it doesn't have a cost to it.
Mhm.
But one thing that I want to bring up with the quality of life is this. I went out of town last Thursday
Mhm.
and I just came back on Sunday. And here is Tuesday, and you had four murders in
Mhm.
that short a period of time.
Yeah.
And I know that we had discussed at one point in time, well, I think that there are at least three key issues in dealing with this violence. And I think it's mental health issues,
Mhm.
drug addiction, and unemployment.
Yeah.
Those are three main things. And it's not just a police issue, but it's a societal issue that we need to look for ways to deal with mental health more effectively, and drug addiction. I know
Mhm.
that there is a program where the granted program where people go out to outreach for drug addicts, and they go
Mhm.
into and they approach them and try to get them to seek help and stuff. I think that there needs to be more money paid into that for people with drug addiction. And because of COVID, I think a lot of people, and that we had to be, inside homes and stuff, and a lot of people have suffered mental issues.
Mhm.
And it's I think it's on a high rise, even in the with young people. So
Mhm.
I think that we need to wrap our heads around how we can get more money into those issues to help, along with the guns off the street, to deal with the issue of the uptake of crime. That's all.
Mhm. Well, thank you. Thank you for that. Go ahead, Mike.
I have a question for Mr. Howard in terms of next month's meeting. Are you thinking of bringing in outside guests to talk about a specific youth program, or collaboratively brainstorming amongst us as to what's out there existing right now?
Both.
So do you have anyone in mind that you want to invite?
Well, I've been speaking to the folks at STIC and HCC,
Mm-hmm.
and they really would like to publicize their programs more, even though it's more for like younger, older adults. But I can find out specifically what age groups they're dealing with, because I'm personally attending computer literacy, even though I know about computers, but I'm just going to get certificates and stuff. And so far I've received a few. And with these certificates, these younger folks will at least have some kind of sheepskin, as we used to call them, when they're going to apply for employment. And
so why don't you, Mr. Howard, why don't you get the names of the people that you want to invite, and we could invite them to the meeting next month?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Mr. Howard, if I can also add, I like your idea. I know Chicopee just piloted a summer school program where they had kids actually volunteering to come into the career tech education shops as a summer educational experience. And I guess it was a big home run. So I'm willing to reach out to folks in Chicopee if you think that would be worthwhile having that conversation.
Definitely, please do. Please do.
That'd be great.
I will.
Because another thing that's happening in this, especially with HCC, is they have apprenticeship programs whereby the unions work with the colleges, and these young folks could actually get trained on the job training with compensation.
Right.
And as far as our chair is concerned, one of the reasons why I'm really happy and proud to be on this particular subcommittee is because I've seen, I think it was about 2 months ago, some young people were trying to meet with the mayor to talk about their mental issues. And even though the mayor was in the chamber, they were actually communicating via Zoom on the steps of City Hall. And I was really amazed that that happened the way it did.
Yeah.
And I think that focusing on the mental situation with the youth, they're asking for help. And I think we should really organize to try to get that help to them. Thank you.
Mhm. Thank you. Kaine,
Yes,
did I say
hi.
it right?
You did, you did. Hi, so Mr. Howard, I really like your idea, and I heard you mention STCC, and the reason I put my hand up is because I'm also on the Mason Square C3. So we meet every Tuesday, and I know that Dr. Cook, who is the
Mhm.
president of STCC, is always present during those meetings. And I mean, if you like, I could ask him or could connect you, or if you want to come to one of the meetings and on a Tuesday at 11. And, either way, I just wanted to put that out there because Dr. Cook has always made himself available for the community in Springfield, and he's at every meeting faithfully every Tuesday, letting everyone know about what's going on with STCC, what he can do, new ideas. So I just wanted to put that out there for you.
That's
To
a
you.
great
I
idea.
appreciate that. And I have attended at least 2 of those meetings. I was in a meeting up to today.
Yes.
And like this particular meeting, I was making a lot of contributions, but yes, I would definitely like that contact, please. If you could put it in the chat, I'd take it.
Okay. All right.
Okay, Stephanie, and that'll be our last comment because it's 6:58.
Okay, I just want to mention that the Hampden Sheriff's Department has the AISS program at the former WW Life Center on
Yeah.
State Street that have that services the community, and not only ex-offenders, but the community, and they have different avenues or different counselors that can guide them in different ways. And that's something that may be utilized too.
Yeah, so I think, Stephanie, for your point, talk about the gun violence or just that issue, right? We have had so many murders in the city up until now. I think, what we could do is in October, that could be the topic of discussion for that month. Next month, we're gonna talk about, education and the resources for the youth. Our meeting next month is September 19th at 6 p.m. And then in October, Stephanie, maybe we could brainstorm who we might like to invite to come to the meeting and talk about the mental health issues. I know we have a youth mental health coalition in Springfield. We have a lot of people working on, those issues, and Tapestry Health might be able to give information about the outreach that you mentioned.
Okay.
All right. All right. So again, thank you, everybody. Thank you again. Thank you for another great meeting, and I'll see y'all next month.